Hey, hello again, everybody. Old Guy Jamming here. Today we're going to bias our Engl Fireball 25. So here's the info right from Engl. You need 2.1 to 2.5 volts across yellow and red and or blue and red from the output transformer. All right, so write that down. I've got my voltmeter here, and this is the chassis. I've got it upside down on the wood box. The dealio, the attenuation board, is right there, and it's just hanging off the back. And there's no real tension on it. It's being supported by the leather handle. I feel like it's a good idea to have that connected. You could ask Engl if you can disconnect it. I imagine disconnecting it just ensures that the amp's in full power mode, but you want the amp in full power mode and definitely plugged into a cabinet. I have this one down here, a homemade cab with a V30 12-inch and a 1030 Celestion 10-inch, which actually worked out really well. And then it just was a bit woofy, so I popped a couple of holes in it on both sides and ended up with some good handholds for it as well. And it sounds great. It's a great cab for the thing when I'm in the garage and doing stuff like this. It's at 8 ohms. Those two 16 ohm speakers are in parallel. All right, so it's we're doing the lead channel, and everything is hot in here, so we don't want to be absent-minded, idiotic, or foolish. Here's our pot, and when I got it, that's where the pot was. I don't know if I can focus on that, but if you get in here, you'll see that there you can, the little tick marks, the little notch marks. When I got in here, I just took it down one notch counterclockwise as if the arrow was up. So I went, this way, one notch. And I liked it, and it seemed to make a difference. Anyway, that's where it was when I got it. But as you can see from our meter, come on, stupid. As you can see, why does this have to be so flippin' difficult, dude? I hate working with iPads. Anyway, as you can see, I knew you could see it. Oh, and invest in some good clips for your meter so that you don't have to be poking around haphazardly. I have this clipped, and then keep all those leads in a little bag so that anytime you want to use one, they're all tangled up and you have to, you exercise patience, which is another thing. A nice thing to do from time to time. But keep them all in a little bag so when you're getting after the right one, they're just a tangled mess and you have to work at getting the one you want. So this is our power transformer, our output transformer right there. The power transformer is here on this other side. You don't want that one. This is the output transformer that changes everything back into a nice analog signal that will properly push those speakers. And the red is common to the yellow and blue right there, okay? Common to red and blue. We're going to go from yellow to red and blue to red. And we're looking for 2.1 to 2.5 volts. So what we're going to do is change this little pot. We're going to turn it clockwise, that direction, as if the top of the arrow indicates the top. So I'm upside down here, but we're going to turn it that way to increase the volts. And for giggles, I'm going to play while we do this, because another interesting thing about bias is that it's not nearly as critical as I once thought when I started digging through forums and getting into tube amps. A lot of people will tell you you can go by sound too. Just get in there with a screwdriver and play, and as you do, change the bias and get it to where you like it. Angus Young's tech always said that they ran their tubes really hot to get the tone he wanted, and they had to replace tubes almost every performance because they were running them too hot, but it didn't hurt the amp. It just means you have to replace your tubes more often. You know, you hot plate them. On the other side, Petrucci runs his Maces a little cooler, and they only replace power tubes once a tour, which is, you know, dramatically different. So you can run your tube bias lower and or higher, but if you run it higher than recommended, you're going to go through tubes more often. Usually a little fizzier sound, more drive. Or you can run your bias cooler and your tubes will last longer. And for me, I always like it because I think too much bias ends up with a fizzy type sound. All right, so just for giggles. That's at 1.7. So let's go up here to about 2 or so. Sounds great. Oh my gosh. All right, little tiny screwdriver. And this is kind of where I had it. I'm using one of these German-made little tiny screwdrivers. They're great. I've had them for years. Loved them. They are molybdenum, which is also a fun word to say. Made in Germany. They're great. Got a whole set for birthday one year. About the same time I got the fluke meter. Should have my daughter come out and change this while I play. Might be a good idea. All right, so we're going back up to 2. I don't want to go up to 2.5 because I really always like my amps cooler. Well, I think what I'm hearing here, I believe I'm hearing more bottom end coming out of the sound. It just seems a little chunkier on the bottom. So I'm going to leave it here at 2. You know, at 2, that's fine for me. I've made quite a bit of adjustment with the pot. It went, if you remember, it went from, you know, just to, well, I'm going to say, I moved 3 clicks, 4 clicks over from where it was, but considering it came out of the factory rather cold, I would recommend you get in here and check it. And then if you, just depending on your taste, you know, get it up nice and hot and or keep it low. So, once again though, you've got to have your amp in full power mode, powered up, you have to have a speaker plugged in. You don't have to have a guitar plugged in, but why not? And then you have to take it out of standby. I also, this amp had not been plugged in for quite a while, so I knew everything was drained. The caps were all drained, not a problem. But there are some higher voltages around the tubes in here, so you just want to be careful. But if you can get leads with clips on them, then you're, if you're a coffee drinker like I am, you won't have to worry about getting in here and having the shakes and trisnet. You know what I mean? All right. Now, there's only one pot, so balancing between the two sides isn't a big deal. They are a little bit different by about 2 millivolts. So, like, if one side was 2, the other side's going to be 1.8. But there's no way to balance that, all right? So don't worry about it. Pick your lead and then just clip them up so you don't have to deal with probes. And then you can use a little wood screwdriver or a metal one if you feel like it, but that's your pot. And that's cool. Now, I'm confident in this amp being finely tuned, and we can get to the PV Invective versus Fireball and some other things. Got a little, I can't tell you, it's a secret. Stay tuned. But you all have a good time. Have a good one, and we will see you next time. What is that?